Welcome to the OVW podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. My name is Jack Minoaks.
I'm Brian Hines.
It's a Monday in the feed. You know what that means. We're sitting down with another OVW superstar, this time in the form of the East End villain, Josh Ashcraft. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
Good. We're
well,
glad to have you back.
I'm happy to be here.
We were talking before we started rolling here, and you threw out something. You started on episode 599
Yes.
of OVW, so you are on over half of the episodes officially.
Yeah, I have been with OVW for over half of our episodes. Yeah, I would say on air, maybe like 4 or 5 months after I started refereeing.
Okay.
And got thrown onto the shows probably by December. So, I mean, even that, yeah, still well over half the episodes. With OVW.
So 734 to be exact.
Wow. Yeah, that's.
If he did 1333,
Yeah.
Was it this week or last week?
This past Thursday was 1333, I believe.
Okay,
Or
so
34. I don't know, man. I just gonna show up and talk some smack and do my thing.
So what year is 599 and what year is that?
That was February of 2011. So my first show was
14
actually
years.
14 years as of this past February. I've been with them.
That's kind of insane, and that's like what, a third of your life? About a third of your life?
Yeah. Well, so I went to my first OVW show in late '99 at the Garden, and then started going sporadically to Jeffersonville to the old building over on Mechanic Street, and I was actually front row center for the main event of our very first show, OVW Fall Brawl, in 2002. It was Chris Benoit and Doug Basham. It originally supposed to have been Basham and Lesnar, but Lesnar had jacked his elbow up, and they didn't want him, to risk it getting hurt at an OVW, show.
Sure. Yeah.
So they put in a suitable replacement, and it was Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Yeah, and that match is a banger. It's on YouTube. If you go back, you can pull it up. I mean, it's a
We will have to check that out.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I do have a certain affection for Chris Benoit in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The guy's in-ring work, I think Paul Heyman said it best. Like, as a talent, I love him to death. As a human being, F that guy.
That's one of the better Paul Heyman moments, really. Like in a history of like great Paul Heyman, very insightful moments in wrestling, and the difference between wrestling and where the line is in wrestling, and then when a performer crosses that line out of the ring. He's always been very, very concise with that.
And I'll give credit where credit's due. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether I like a person or not, like I'll say, they were great at this or they were great at that, but that doesn't mean, outside of the confines of the wrestling business that, I'd want to champion them or associate with them type stuff,
Absolutely.
So, and I can understand Paul's position on that.
That's with any form of celebrity, really.
Yeah.
You got to kind of start figuring out where you can draw a line.
Right.
Some people make it harder than others, though. So do you started refereeing? Are you a student for OVW at that time? Like, how do you get involved in refereeing?
So I just showed up.
Okay.
On a Wednesday night and got introduced to a guy by the name of Brian Roof, affectionately known as Cornbread.
Oh, yeah.
We know that guy.
Yeah.
So I got, introduced to Bread, and he was like, hey, if you want to help out, like, show up Saturday, you can jump in the ring truck. We need somebody to help with the ring. Mm-hmm. So I showed up, hopped in, rode down to London, Kentucky, and set up the ring, and it was just off and running from there. I ran the merch booth for a while, and got into refereeing. We were doing a show in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. The Sugarland concert, where like the stuff blew down, like the stage blew down, killed a bunch of people and stuff. There was a benefit going on for that, and we rode up to Indianapolis, and Chris Sharp, who's now Chip Danning in WWE, one of their referees, was stuck in traffic trying to get there. So bell time hits, and they're like, hey, you've got an OVW shirt on and you have some dress pants. Congratulations, you're a referee. Go. And I'm like, oh, this is terrifying.
Yeah, there you are.
But luckily enough, I had Ted the Trailer McNailer, Man Beast, and Shiloh Jones as the first match on the card. Mm-hmm. And Beast used to be a referee back before he started wrestling. Lolo, which I love Shiloh to death. They both talked me through the whole thing, and basically they were calling it in the ring, but they were also calling stuff to me, like, hey, you back me out of the corner, man. Get him out of my hair, that type of stuff. So I was learning on the fly, and the majority of my career has been absolutely that. It's been learning on the fly, thrown into whatever position it is I'm going to do,
Yeah, trial by fire.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's sink or swim. And, I'm thankful for it because I got to kind of learn a lot of stuff the old school way.
Mm-hmm.
I got to learn it in a very organic and natural way. So being in every position, going from refereeing to managing to commentary to wrestling to commentary to managing and back and forth, and working production, doing camera work, switching in the back, doing sound, running times, like it gave me the ability to take all of these tools together to be able to use them when I'm out there. So like as a referee, it taught me positioning.
Yeah.
As a camera guy, it taught me to think, 3 steps ahead. With switching, where should I be on this type of stuff? And it made it way easier later on when I would go to our production guys and I would say, hey, make sure that tonight when you see this, I want the camera over here to be focused on that because this is coming next. So when you see this, get ready to switch. And I would have those types of conversations with our production staff, and our stuff always looked great. We got over what we needed to get over. We told the story we needed to tell with whatever it was, because I had the courtesy of going to our people and saying, hey, look, I appreciate what you do for me. This is something that I'd like to get tonight. If we could please make that happen. And it makes their job 10 times easier.
Sure.
A little bit of communication.
That's all you need.
And having a perspective enough to be able to communicate from to different positions, because you've been there.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions. One is, you mentioned that you kind of started setting up rings. Cornbread told you to set up rings. That's something I've seen still watch you do pretty regularly. That's can you kind of like speak to that? It's day one thing and it's a 15-year thing.
So for me, it went from being the guy that set up the ring to the guy that teaches people how to set up the ring to the guy that oversees that type of stuff. And I have no problem, getting down and dirty, getting my hands dirty, busting knuckles, breaking fingers to get the thing set up.
Yeah, we've seen you do it several times.
Yeah, because it needs to get done. And if my students, my kids that, I'm one of the instructors for the academy, if my kids are around, like, this is the stuff that I'm going to be able to teach you. Like, these are the skills that I want to give you. So that if you go somewhere later on down the line, you get into a ring that you've never been in before, you go to hit the ropes, you hear a pinging noise, you know what that is.
Right.
Okay, there's something that's not tightened up over here. Or this rope's sagging, but I can't figure out why. Or, we've got to switch up where it's at. Oh, take 2 turns off over here. That makes you valuable. Like, I want to try to teach everybody on every show that I'm on, whether it's an OVW show or not, like, I'm there to try to regurgitate, for lack of a better word, knowledge that's been passed down to me by some of the people that I've been around. So when it comes to setting up a ring, like, that's something that I've had a lot of experience doing, and it's something that I hate that ring, but I love that ring.
Yeah.
Because, I say the same thing about our travel ring than I do about our TV ring. She's a bitch, but she's my bitch, and I love her even though she hates me.
Yeah, I was there. About 9 minutes in, there it is. There's Josh Ashcraft, everybody.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I don't think people at home understand exactly how dangerous that ring is.
It's life and death.
Yeah, it's steel and wood.
Yeah.
Held together by tension that is steel cable.
Yeah.
2 steel cables across under the ring, and then all 3 ring ropes are a steel cable with some rubber tubing over it and then taped up. If you don't set that thing up right, I've seen turnbuckles pop off because somebody didn't tighten it the right way and fly into the ring with enough force to leave a bruise the size of a cantaloupe on a guy's hip. I've seen cables snap, and when a cable snaps, one of the most dangerous things is being anywhere near the end because all of those wires are razor sharp.
Yeah.
Right.
And
razor sharp and just pure tension.
And not properly doing maintenance on a ring. So, like, because we use cables, I've got to go around every so often. I need to do it more, than just every quarter with my students. But that's, when we have the time to teach, you've got to go through and literally put your hand on each rope and run it gently down the rope to make sure that you don't have a wire that's snapped like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Because one of those strands, it's a braided wire. One of those strands can stick out, and it's like a hypodermic needle sticking out of the middle of the rope. So you go to hit the ropes, it's either going to puncture you, it's going to slice you wide open. It's just there's so much going on. If you have a board that pops up at the wrong angle, and no one pays attention, no one fixes it, no one does what they need to do to either replace it or for, that show, hey, let's move this to an outside edge where no one's going to be stepping on it. You fall wrong, you blow out a disc in your back, you rupture a disc in your neck, you break your ankle in 3 places like I've done. Like it's terrifying how dangerous that thing really is. So if you don't have a healthy respect for it and you don't understand how to properly put one together, you're doing yourself and everyone else around you a disservice because you can prevent injuries and things like that.
And I think it's that word respect too. It's respect for if you're a wrestler, other people's bodies, but your job in the ring crew is keeping people safe in a different way. The wrestling business, as I've been told, is built on respect.
Yes, it's very, very respect based. You talk about me still doing ring crew at this stage of my career. Charles Robinson is one of the senior referees in WWE. He's been doing this stuff for decades and decades. He's in charge of their ring crew. If you go back and watch the post show from this past Elimination Chamber, as they're sitting there talking about what just happened, look in the background. Charles Robinson's walking around directing traffic, instructing people like, brother, we don't live here. I want to go home. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get some food.
He's the blonde one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Nate.
The last house show I saw, he was the referee, and he was in there at the end of the night. So, he's still out there doing it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, when you take on a certain responsibility, if you care enough about what you're doing, that it's not really, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes doing it. But at the end of the day, come on, let's get this thing done. I can get that ring with the right people. You give me 8 people total, well, including myself, so 7 including me. I can get that ring out of the truck and up in about 30 minutes, give or take.
Wow.
I can get it tore down in about 15.
That's impressive.
I don't play games. Like, you guys were in Pikeville, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was not joking when I said I wanted that cage up in under 15 minutes, and I managed to get everybody rallied together, and thankfully, and this isn't just me tooting my own horn, it's a team effort. It always is.
Sure.
But you came out there with an army.
Yeah, you've got to, and you've got to have somebody that's leading the charge, and that's what I want my students, my kids, to be able to do if I'm not around sometime. You know?
That's a high pressure moment. It's a 10-man cage match, huge deal, big show for you guys. If you guys don't get that cage up in a certain amount of time, enough time for people to run to the hot dog stand, whatever, people are going to start filing out of there, and all of this stuff that you guys have worked so hard for is for naught.
And like this past Chain Carnage that we did.
Yeah.
Like, I
very
think
noticeable difference between the last Chain Carnage and this past Chain Carnage.
Yeah, so like the right people in the right places. Record time, me and the ring crew, we managed to get that thing totally switched out in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
almost under. I had enough time to run backstage, grab a drink of water, take a leak, and get back to the desk.
That was impressive, by the way. It really was. Just stripping it down and, the chain up in 10 minutes like that was a sight to behold. It really was.
I appreciate, WWE managed to switch out their canvases, retape the ropes and everything else during commercial breaks, and I feel like, this is a side of the business that doesn't really get talked about and doesn't really get the respect that it deserves. I mean, the guy that does all of the prop work and everything else for the WWE, the guy that does their set designs, the guy that's under the ring at every single show to do maintenance on it. Like,
that is something I would have never thought of.
Yeah.
No.
There's I'm blanking on his name right now. But he's someone that, and I'll remember it as soon as we go off camera. But like, his entire job is to be under the ring all show, every show. Anything goes sideways at all, he's right there to fix it. You see him flip the stuff up. You can't see him because he's back there underneath the curtain. Case of water, monitor, and a earpiece, and a toolbox. Love it.
You mentioned earlier in our conversation that your first match was refereeing Shiloh Jones.
Yes. He was actually also first time I ever managed was the team of Shiloh Jones and Eric Walker. So Shiloh and I have been round and round more than once in my career, so that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I guess the question would be is like, what's it like to see, you have a very fond memories, tons of memories, first early memories with Shiloh Jones. You see where a guy like that's at now. What's that like?
It makes me so happy. Like, Shiloh's legitimately someone that absolutely deserves to get noticed on a national, on a worldwide level. Like, he is a very, very talented human being and a great human being just in general. Shiloh's always been one of those guys where you could see there was something there with him, and he just needed to ride the right wave, so to speak.
He's been plugging away for a long time.
Yeah, he has been. And, to see, honestly, man, I want to see everybody succeed. The thing about it is, like, if you go out there and you do awesome, and people are going to come out and they want to see you, they want to tune in to watch you, well, you're not until later in the show, but I'm on earlier. So they're going to come to see you, but they're going to get the opportunity to see me.
Right.
Now it's my chance to try to hook them and make them want to come back and see me more. So the harder you work, the better you become, the more popular you get, the better it is for me, the better it is for everybody else. It's the old, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Al says it all the time. You can't see the forest for your own tree because you're only focused on your own tree. You've got to be focused on the forest, every tree, every shrub, every squirrel running through a tree trying to find a nut. You know what I mean? And we're all nutty, but it's got to be a team effort. The whole days of trying to stab each other in the back and cut each other's throats because you're going to take my spot. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, do great. Do good things. Get yourself to a place where one day, you are doing the things like Shiloh's doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be able to help on that journey because who knows what doors it might open up for me in the future at some point on a selfish note. But, that's exactly what this is, I'm doing this stuff because I want to see other people succeed. And if you succeed and I helped with that, your success is my success. And at the end of the day, I'm happy with that,
I can't think of a better place to leave it. Josh Ashcraft, East End Villain, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me on Facebook at Josh Ashcraft. You can find me on Instagram at Josh Ashcraft 86. I'm on X at Josh Ashcraft. My OnlyFans, the only fan I have is Jackman's mom. But, tell her I love her. The cheesecake was delicious.
I will. She made that for you?
Yeah.
She never makes that for me.
Well, she even gave me the cherry topping. It was delicious.
Well.
Oh.
Hey.
Josh Ashcraft, everybody.